The unraveled threads. This is the story of Ethan, a man who believed in the purity of love until the cracks in his seemingly perfect relationship began to show. Sometimes, the truth can be more painful than the betrayal itself. Ethan had always thought that love was a two-way street, an unspoken understanding between two hearts that beat in rhythm. For 3 years, he had been in a committed relationship with Sarah, the woman he believed was his soulmate. They met in college, an instant connection sparked by shared interests, late-night talks, and dreams of a future built together. Sarah was everything Ethan could have asked for: intelligent, funny, and incredibly caring. But recently, things had begun to change. Her late-night work meetings became more frequent. She started going out with friends Ethan had never heard of, and her phone was always glued to her hand, the screen tilted away from his view. At first, Ethan dismissed the nagging feeling in his chest. He convinced himself it was nothing, just his imagination. Relationships had ups and downs, right? But the more Sarah distanced herself, the more the cracks in their relationship began to show. One evening, Ethan was waiting for Sarah to come home from another work dinner. He sat at the dining table, his eyes scanning the clock as the minutes turned into hours. She hadn't answered his last few texts, and her phone went straight to voicemail. His gut twisted in a knot of worrying, but there was also something else out. Ethan opened his laptop, hoping to distract himself with work, but his mind kept wandering back to Sarah. That's when he noticed her social media account, something she hadn't posted on in weeks. But tonight, there was a new post, a photo of Sarah at a fancy restaurant, laughing with a man Ethan didn't recognize. The caption was vague, just a simple "great night out." But the look in her eyes told a different story. It wasn't the look she gave Ethan anymore. He felt his heart sink. 1,000 questions raced through his mind, and he could no longer suppress the growing suspicion that Sarah was hiding something. Instead of confronting her with anger, he decided to approach the situation with calm clarity. Ethan needed to know the truth. The next day, Sarah came home, if nothing had happened, smiling and kissing Ethan on the cheek. She told him about her busy night at work, about how exhausting her day had been. But Ethan could no longer ignore the inconsistencies. The photo from the night before was etched in his mind like a scar, and it haunted him every time she spoke. "I saw your post last night," Ethan finally said, his voice steady. Sarah froze for a split second, her smile faltering. "Oh, that," she shrugged, trying to laugh it off. "It was just a casual dinner with some colleagues." "Who was he?" Ethan asked, keeping his tone calm but firm. Sarah's face drained of color. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Instead, she stumbled through an explanation about how it was just a harmless hangout, how she didn't want to worry him, because it meant nothing. But Ethan could see it in her eyes. She was hiding something deeper. Over the next few days, the distance between them grew. Ethan found it harder to trust her, and Sarah became more evasive. The love they once shared seemed like a distant memory, replaced by suspicion and half-truths. One evening, while Sarah was out again, Ethan's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. The message read, "I thought you should know. She's been seeing someone else. I'm sorry." Attached was a photo of Sarah and the man from the restaurant, this time holding hands, their affection undeniable. Ethan's heart shattered. He had always feared this moment, but never thought it would come. When Sarah returned that night, Ethan confronted her with the message. Her excuses fell apart as quickly as the trust he had in her. "I never meant to hurt you," she cried, tears streaming down her face. "It just happened. I didn't know how to tell you." Ethan looked at her, his own heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. "You could have told me the truth." As the silence stretched between them, Ethan knew that their relationship had reached its end. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. Sarah had made her choice, and in doing so, she had severed the bond they once held dear. With a heavy heart, Ethan packed his things and left the home they had shared, knowing that love could never truly survive without honesty. Subscribe, share and like for more stories.